Hi, my name is Jacob McGill, and I am the founder of 80/20 Media. And what I'm here to talk to you about today is actually the 80/20 rule and its applications. So, welcome to maybe for some of you, your first exploration into the 80/20 rule. And so for those of you who are familiar with it, we're going to move through this pretty quickly. For those of you who aren't, we should start at the very beginning. So the first recorded history of the 80/20 rule was by this Venetian economist, and his name was Pareto. And so this was originally called the Pareto principle. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit right now about how it started out as a principle and has now become what we call a rule. So it's had this transition. Now, I forget, honestly, when the banking of the world was in Venice, but there was a time when Venice was a major trade center in the world and especially for Europe. And so a lot of items, goods, and therefore money were moving through Europe, and it was an area of, quote, central banking or banking at the time. So all these traders were passing through Venice all the time on their ships, and they were leaving money in Venice. And this economist from that time, by the name of Pareto, was noticing some very interesting things. One of the first examples that is published is that he found that 80% of the wealth of Venice was owned and managed by 20% of the families. And so this is one of the earliest incidences of the 80/20 rule. What ended up happening from there is that Pareto kept on examining and re-examining and re-examining this very simple formula, right? 80/20, right? 4/5 and 1/5. He kept on seeing this everywhere he looked. And this has been adopted into modern business practices because it has been found not only to be a principle, but quite consistently to be a rule. One of the ways that you can look at it is only 20% of the things that you do are actually responsible for 80% of your productivity. Also, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you'll find that 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients. You may be interested to also notice that 80% of your problems come from 20% of your clients as well. And so one of the things you could look at is find out what client problems are the most consistent ones, and then also what parts of your business are most consistently breaking down. That way you can solve things where the bottleneck is and deal with the actual source of the problem instead of constantly running around and putting out fires. But what I want you to look at right now is your own time. Right? We want to focus on individual productivity, because if you don't fix the stuff that's here, then you can't actually free up your time to manage the things out there. So what I want you to do is actually go back and look at your calendar right now. And you can pause the video if you need to do that, or you can kind of multitask and split your focus. It really doesn't matter to me. But what I'd like you to do is go back and examine at least the last week or 2 weeks or even the last month. It really depends on how your calendar is displayed and the easiest way for you to see it. But what you're going to do is you're going to review your most recent few weeks of activity, and you're going to assess, where did your revenue come from? Where did your results come from? What were the things that you've actually done that have moved things forward or made some sort of progress in your life? And that should be your 20%, right? These are the 20% actions that create 80% of your results. At the same time, you also want to examine the busy work, right? What were all the times that you spent doing things that actually resulted in nothing or very little? And these are, again, busy work or feel-good activities, right? Where it makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. But if you actually measure results, and let's face it, those are the only things that matter, you'll see that there's nothing significant that came out of it. Okay, and so this is what we want you to define for ourselves right now. So again, go back, take a look at your calendar, and I suggest that you make a list. The easiest way to make a list is take a sheet of paper, draw a line straight down the middle, put a line across the top, and put on one side your 20% actions, and that means these are the things that you did that caused 80% of your results. And then your 80% actions, most of the things that you did that caused very little results or no results at all. So this is your first level assessment of the 80-20 rule. And again, we're going to wrap this video up now, but you're going to go and take a look at that. And the reason I want you to do it is I'm going to show you how to find all sorts of leverage, but you can't find it if you can't define it. This is how the list process works. So you have to start here. You have to start with making that list, putting down everything that you've done in the last few weeks in terms of work or business. And from there, just try and pick which side of that 80-20 line it falls on. If you're confused, it doesn't matter. Make sure it gets out of your calendar and onto paper, and you'll be able to clarify. You can always redo this later as you understand the principle. If you spend all your time thinking about where it should go on the list, that's one of those 80% actions that causes 0 results, right? So get it off your calendar, onto paper, even if it's wrong or you're confused. Take those 20% actions and make a difference. See you in the next video.